Hey, how's it going, Chris?
Hey man, how you doing?
Doing good, doing good. So I just want to talk to you a little bit of WWE Fozzy fame, of course. Your new DVD, The Road is Jericho, is out right now. It's vastly different from your last DVD. That it kind of dissects and delves deeper into your biggest matches, moments, as opposed to just kind of giving an overview of your career. What were your thoughts on the final product?
I love it. I think that it's a great idea to do something a little bit different from the normal DVD. I love the matches that I chose for it, the diversity of them, a mix of classics that people have seen, all the way down to dark matches that I know for sure people have never seen, to some matches that I think are kind of underrated, have been forgotten and lost in the shuffle over the years. And then to tie it all together by just taking a ride down the highway and just talking about all the trials and tribulations and funny stories behind the matches. It's something you don't really see. If I was a fan, I would love to check this out.
So what went into the process of selecting the spotlighted matches for the DVD? Was it up to you? Was it up to WWE? And were you disappointed that any matches weren't able to make the cut?
No, I mean, those are all my decisions. I mean, they kind of pointed me in a certain direction. Like, what about these ones? And then I would see, like, for example, they had this match versus X-Pac, and I'd be like, well, I remember having a cage match versus X-Pac that I thought was much better. So, okay, we switch that around, or we need another WCW match in here, or I want to put something in here with Rey Mysterio, or, whatever it may be. So that kind of went back and forth for a bit. But yeah, the final selection is all mine. And, that's the way it should be. I mean, I could never allow them to pick all the matches because I know which ones have certain feelings for me and certain vibes and ones that I want people to see.
And also, too, what I thought was interesting about the DVD was that before you talked about them on your limo drive, you had not watched the matches beforehand, and you kind of reminisced about them before watching them back. So that's what I thought was kind of interesting about it. Have you watched any of the matches back since that point, since you first filmed it?
Well, the funny thing is, it's come out since I've been overseas. So I've had a preview copy that I haven't had a chance to watch yet, and I forgot it at home. So there's still some matches that I haven't seen on there, and I like that. I'm looking forward to being a surprise when I watch it, too. Like I said in a couple other interviews, the fact that if you would have asked me, have you ever been in a match with Stone Cold Steve Austin where Mick Foley was the guest ref, I would have went, no. And then, lo and behold, I was, and it's on the DVD. So it's kind of funny how sometimes, we do so many matches in such a short period of time, you forget sometimes, some of the ones that are on there. And that's, the honesty that I had for some of when we were going through the match listing, I was like, I don't remember that one. I'm excited to see it, too. And I think that's, when you have that kind of candidness, that fans appreciate that. Because I think a lot of times people think that we know every single match we've ever had, every single match we ever did. They'd be like, when someone sees a match live or something that influences them, they'll never forget it. But we might not even remember it. I remember seeing Paul McCartney every single concert I've ever seen him. He probably doesn't remember any of those concerts. But for me, I'll never forget it. And that was kind of gave me a chance to go back and revisit some of these matches that people love that I don't even recall. So then I can go back through and go, wow, that was a good match.
Exactly. That's what kind of separated your DVD from a lot of the others, in that you didn't really, that match specifically, the one with Stone Cold Steve Austin, was one that you did not recall at all. It's not like you said, oh, I remember that one, I remember when this went down, whatever. And you were very candid about that, like you said before, and that's what kind of separates your DVD from all the others. But at one point in the DVD, you mentioned your feud and matches with Edge. You guys kind of crossed paths, kind of a little bit along your runs in the WWE and your various stints. Did it ever bother you that you guys never really had that full-on feud? And you guys ended up having that feud in 2010. I watched the match the other day at WrestleMania 26, a great match. Do you feel like that feud kind of lived up to your potential, kind of lived up to your expectations?
Well, it could have lived up to potential because Edge got hurt. So, I mean, it's not like somebody where it's like, they dropped the ball, or we went left, we should have went right. I mean, this is, once again, this is show business, but it's real when it comes to injuries like that. And we had a whole plan from, I believe it was from July all the way up to WrestleMania, and guess what? It didn't happen because he got hurt. So we went to Plan B, which was Jericho and Big Show, which led to some amazing moments and matches. And then when Edge came back at Royal Rumble, we took it up from there. So it wasn't as monumental as it could have been, but it was still a damn good feud, and it led to a pretty damn good match. So, that's the thing about wrestling, and it's something it's one of Vince McMahon's favorite mottos. Is like you make the best of what you have. You take a negative and turn it into a positive, and that's what we did. And I thought that it worked out as well as it possibly could have. as far as the build, and then the match was tremendous, and that's why it was a must-have to include that one on there.
And another interesting thing that you mentioned during the documentary portion was that you never had, in your 6 stints as WWE World Heavyweight Champion, as WWE Champion, World Heavyweight Champion, whatever, you never were a face. You were a heel during each of those runs. Do you regret not having a face run as World Champion, or do you feel like that role as the heel World Champion going to fit you best?
No, I don't regret anything. Like I said, I mean, I'm very adamant and very candid saying about, I was the George Harrison of the Attitude Era. And I don't mind saying that. And what I mean is that, George Harrison was an amazing songwriter, amazing singer, amazing performer, and a huge star. His only problem was he was in a band with John Lennon and Paul McCartney. No matter what he does, he can't outdo those guys. And it's the same with me with Rock and Austin. As a babyface, there's nothing I could do that would overtake the popularity of Rock and Austin. So I had to do the next best thing, turn heel and work with those guys. And that's why I was a heel champion 6 times, because it was against Rock and Austin for the first 3, and against Shawn Michaels and Undertaker for the other one. So it's pretty much, when you're in feuds with those guys, it pretty much is what it is. So could I have been a great babyface champion? Absolutely. Was I a great heel champion? Absolutely. Because to be a versatile performer and to have longevity in the business, you have to be able to fit into whatever role is there for you to fill. And as a heel, that's what was needed of me all 6 times that I was the world champion, and that's why I was the world champion 6 times. There were 6 times in the company that I was the top, most hated person in that company, and I take that as a badge of honor. Could I do it as a babyface? Of course I could, but that opportunity never presented itself. So it's not a regret at all. It's just that when I was needed to do a certain role, I did it, and I killed at it. So that, to me, is a good thing.
And of the many matches, of your many stints as World Heavyweight Champion, 2 of them came in 2008. Now, for me personally, getting into the product in 2008, I have many fond memories of your feud with Shawn Michaels, as many people do, obviously. But you talk about that on the DVD. You had your blow-off match on Monday Night Raw, aside from the No Mercy match, of course, in the ladder match. That last man standing match on Raw in England, great match. Now, I was going to ask you, do you feel like the feud, with you going over as the heel, do you feel like that's something missing nowadays with the heel going over in the end instead of the whole, conquering babyface hero?
Yeah. And I talked about with Shawn on my podcast about that, in that, not always, if you watch a movie or if you read a book, the good guy doesn't always win. And that's one thing we loved about that feud, is that Shawn got his revenge when he beat the hell out of me before I won the title, where he was crying. It's like, he was whipping me with the strap and, crying his eyes out. And Lawler had the great call. It's like, is Shawn really winning anything? He still has to live with the fact that Jericho punched his wife and Jericho, disrupted his life, and he's beating him up, but what does it matter at this point? It's like Gladiator when Russell Crowe finally kills the bad guy. It's like, well, what does he really gain? The bad guy's already killed his family, so it's like, all right, whatever. And I think that's kind of was the story with the Jericho Michaels feud, is that even when it was over, even though he won, what did he really win? And that's why I like that. It is something that you won't see too often, and you might never see it again, because in this day and age, it's very much the good guy always has to win. And also, too, how many baby faces can get away with that and still be super over? And Shawn is one of those rare guys that can do that,
And finally, too...
I was just going to say one more question, but it looks like you got it wrapped up.
Oh, yeah, sure. My final question for you would be, of course, you came back last June on Monday Night Raw. I was there in the building, the XL Center in Hartford, an amazing return because no one knew you were going to be there. You ended up doing the feud with Bray Wyatt, your matches with Randy Orton, and Randy Orton was another guy that you never really got the chance to feud with. And on Night of Champions, you had that match, a great match. Do you feel like you were disappointed you weren't able to work Seth Rollins, and why didn't that feud with Orton come to fruition any sooner than it did?
I'm never disappointed about anything, because, like you said, I ended up with the best match that I ever had with Orton, and I don't know. I think it's the same reason why I never worked with Rey Mysterio until 2009. I've known him since 1992, and we've worked a bit in Japan and a few times in WWE, but in WWE we barely even touched. In 2009, it's like, man, we got to do something, and it was ended up being one of the best feuds of my career. And same thing with Orton. I mean, originally the idea was wrong, and then they went in a different direction, so it's me and Orton, and I'll work Randy Orton every day of the week and twice on Sundays. I think he's the best worker in the company. He's easy to work with. He's fun to work with. And I think we had good matches in the past, but that was just another example of two seasoned vets, good babyface, good heel, just working together and putting together a killer match. And we didn't have much of a build-up and didn't need one. Sometimes the match speaks for itself. And that's what happened in that case. And I love the fact that I was able to include this on the DVD because it deserves to be there, and it's a perfect way to cap it off.
Absolutely, a best way to cap off your latest stint with the WWE. Well, Chris, thank you so much for the opportunity. Huge honor talking to you, and best of luck in all your future endeavors.